The hell? Whoops. That went well. Oh. Well, hold on a second. I just had a little accident here with all my Jack Skellington guys. Hold on. They all fell down.
You okay? What fell down?
I literally dropped like every Jack Skellington person from my calendar.
How did that happen? Did you hit it? Oh no, sweetie.
I'm light.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Thank you. I'll deal with it later. All right. Well, I knocked over my calendar. Uh-oh. That's not good. I have a Jack Skellington calendar and the whole thing fell over. They all broke. See? The little guy. Well, what are you going to do? All right. Well, I'll deal with that later. How was everybody today? Oh, man. Oh, thank you, Alessandro. Can we talk about this stupidity really quick in the White House today? About that dumbass? About saying that autism is caused by Tylenol? 1911 was the first time the term autism was even used. 1911. 1943 is when it was officially designated as a condition. In 1924, 6 children were diagnosed with autism. Tylenol wasn't invented until 1955. This dumbass couldn't even pronounce the name of the medication. This is, I mean, a stupid doesn't even begin to qualify how dumb he is. Oh, thank you, Randy. Yes, the funeral for the racist podcaster looked just like 1930s Germany. And I don't care if people like to hear that. That's what it was. It was a hate speech. His wife was an actress. That's all it was. I mean, I don't understand why people are all up in arms about this. He was not a good person. He was a racist. He wanted to maintain the white patriarchy. He told young men and women to vote for a man who was an adjudicated rapist and a convicted felon who was on Epstein Island. What was godly about him? Nothing. But on a positive note, now he knows who's on the Epstein list. So here we are for that. Hey, Eli. Yeah, when I started doing videos on TikTok a couple years ago, I knew when he got elected that this was going to be about white Christian nationalism. And for those of you that aren't familiar with that term, it is not Christian. It is not about faith. It's not about God. It is about weaponizing religion to a bunch of stupid people who don't want black people or non-white people. That's all it is. If you look at the history of the United States, tell me when it's been Christian. Slavery, Jim Crow, the Middle Passage, they're brainwashed. And I got people in my life. I had a cousin 2 weeks ago, and I blocked her because I'm not going to put up with her crap. I'm at a point in my life where I don't want people around me that are racist. She didn't comment on any of the horrible things that he said, anything that I posted. Not a thing. But yet her and her sister dogpiled on me because they were going to support a racist. I'm not going to have empathy. No. What happened to him was horrible. But they didn't give a damn about the 60,000 other people that were dead from gun violence. Not a damn thing. They saw January 6th, and they didn't give a damn about the officers. They knew he was a liable sexual abuser. They didn't care about him or the women. How about James Tirico's sermon? Yes, Christian nationalism is... Look, you have to realize that MAGA is... This is for historical purposes. The original Sanhedrin that crucified Jesus, they justified it in the name of God. They literally justified murdering a man just because he wouldn't conform to their religious ideology. They wanted an earthly king. If you go to 1 Samuel 8, and this is just for reference, this is not preach. I don't care if you're an atheist. I'm just giving you reference. They asked God for an earthly king. and they got King Saul. It did not end well. 2016, they once again wanted an earthly king. 2024, they wanted an earthly king. They have nothing to do with heaven or Jesus or God. Anybody that has to wear a cross or put Bible verses, not everybody. Some people do because they were actually people of faith, but the majority of white MAGA have to tell you that they're a person of faith because their walk is a piss poor reflection of what they claim to believe. They're angry. They want to threaten people. They want a civil war. They want to hurt people. They want to be racist. They want to yell at people. They want to cuss at people. They want to tear them down. They want to demonize gay people and trans people, and they want to demonize abortion. They're not Christians. They're Pharisees. That's all they are. They're the same religious ideology that crucified Jesus in the name of God. They justify violence. Their version of a Christian America is this. Christians, the Crusades, they started the KKK. You had pastors and cops that served in the KKK. That's it. They went to church, came out in their outfits, right? In their Sunday best, and they had black people hanging from trees. Praise Jesus, right? Black people were 3/5 of a person. Praise Jesus. We're all made in the image of God except for black people. It's disgusting. But to them, this is a Christian nation. So to them, it means that if you're a white male, it doesn't matter how morally bankrupt you are, as long as you fit into their worldview, it doesn't matter what atrocities you do. Rape, insurrection, felonies, abusing little girls, stealing from cancer charities, insulting disabled people. None of it matters. They are not Christians. And I understand a lot of people are upset because they're actually people of faith. And I get that. And it sucks. I would say that they are religious zealots. There's not a faith in them. My cat that licks his butt is more of a Christian than they are. Rant about Netanyahu again. Oh God, not him. I'm going to make a video. I'm realizing, and listen, I am by no means a Candace Owens fan. She's a nut. Okay, she voted for this guy. On this one topic, I actually agree with her on. I am seeing how many people on the state level and the federal level that keep going to Israel, how many billions we keep sending them, and they're all going over there like everything's fine. For 2 years, they've been murdering innocent people over there. 64,000 was the last count that are dead. 64,000. I think 16 are missing. How does that justify for 2 years bombing a hospital because there might be one member of an organization at the bottom of the hospital? How do you justify murdering all those men and women and children? It's genocide. Benjamin Netanyahu is a war criminal. He's a murderer, and he should be buried under a prison. Let his ass rot there, and then one day, him and Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell could all hang out together in hell. Why is it so hard for anybody on both sides of the aisle to say that? At the end of September, over 600,000 people are going to be starving. Hundreds have already died from starvation. How is that defending yourself by letting kids starve to death? Where's the Democrats? Where's the Republicans? They're all getting money from AIPAC. That's all it is. It's disgusting. We're spending all this money in Israel while it's coming over here. Somebody asked me, oh, sorry, I'm going to get to the question. Them. Chris, it's interesting. I think what we're seeing is you're seeing the churches that are actually standing on the right side of history, and you see the churches that are standing for white supremacy. That's what you're seeing. Charlie Kirk was a podcaster, a racist, bigoted podcaster who joked about gay people being thrown out of buildings in Gaza. Oh, wait, there's no buildings. That's who he was. He was a piece of shit. What happened to him should not have happened. But I'm not going to shed any tears over a racist. And I cannot believe that we still have Democrats that are voting for that guy to be remembered. And Swalwell and Pelosi did a no vote. What are you no voting? The dude's a racist. Just say no. What's the harm? I even called Swalwell's office, and they said, well, we're not sure if he was there. You don't know if Eric Swalwell was at the Capitol. We don't know. We'll get back to you. Never got back to me. That's where we are. He was not a good person. No, Charlie Kirk was just not a good person. Somebody asked about the 2000 under Bush. I don't know that was the 2000s. That one I have to read on. Well, I mean, Charlie Kirk called George Floyd a scumbag, and he said that Officer Setnick should be freed. So screw that guy. Bible says, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. If you live by the gun, you die by the gun. I mean, listen, Charlie Kirk's going to go up to heaven. I'm just going to tell like it is. And God's going to go there and goes, hey, what's up? Cool. You see all these dead children here? Sandy Hook, Uvalde, Columbine, VA Tech, the Pulse nightclub, Las Vegas. What did you say? You said you followed me. There's no greater commandment than to love thy neighbor as thyself. And what did you say, Charlie? Well, God, it was worth a few dead children in order to preserve the Second Amendment. How do you think that's going to go for Charlie? You think God's going to welcome him with open arms? How about when you joke, Charlie, about throwing gay people out of buildings in Gaza? How about when you ask for the execution of Joe Biden? You think God's going to be on board with that? You think he's going to be thrilled with the way that he was such a great reflection? It's disgusting. Imagine how that went. To be a fly on that wall. Of course he's on the list. Listen, the Republican Party, I'm an independent now. I was a Republican until 16, and I left the party within a month because it was very clear that he was their cult leader. I will worship no man. None. I happen to be a person that believes in God, but I'm not going to judge anybody that believes anything different. It is a cult of white supremacy. There is a chunk of this country that got triggered by a black man in the White House instead of picking their cotton, and they lost their mind. So they went back to what they know, the plantation owner. It's not complicated. Yeah, I don't like Bill Clinton either. What he did to his wife with Monica Lewinsky, I have never liked Bill Clinton ever since that time. Never. Yeah, I mean, the reality is both political parties suck. Well, I could tell you, if you want, I'll tell you why. I think I put the video together. I'm going to send it tomorrow. I'll tell you why. Charlie Kirk's a big issue. Since the inception of this country, I know what I look like. The white man has been at the top of the charts, okay? They've never had anything bad happen to them. They've been fine with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Adriana Smith and Amber Thurman and all the black people that have been hurt. They were totally fine with that. But finally, their white privilege got shit on. And they got a fraction of an inch of what it's like to be black. And they lost their goddamn minds. Now, Jesus is coming. It's a revelation. Church is up 400,000%. There was 28 billion Bibles bought last week. Where was your revelation when Ahmaud Arbery was chased down by 3 white men? Or when George Floyd? Or when people were put in vats of sugar and beaten? How about the Middle Passage when 1.2 million people died? Where was all their outrage over Sandy Hook or Uvalde? All of a sudden, a white racist podcaster is shot in a school shooting? And all of a sudden, oh, praise Jesus, you've awakened. What have you awakened? They don't understand anything about faith. It is religious ideology. The faces of Tupac and Hakeem. Hakeem Jeffries is like a Timu version of a congressman. He is an absolute disgrace. You know, Hakeem Jeffries voted for the Charlie Kirk bill. Yeah. The dude that said Kamala Harris wasn't black, that she was the black Hillary, that you're not qualified if you're a black pilot, that black people were taking white people's jobs. And Hakeem Jeffrey goes, oh, yes, I'm going to vote for that because I want to find common ground. He is an absolute joke. And Melissa Hortman as well. But the white man, the racist, the same thing they're doing with Robert E. Lee. Worshiping another white supremacist. That's all they do, people. This is white supremacy. This is the lost cause, the modern day Confederacy. That's all it is. I can't believe I knocked all my guys over. Well, that's unfortunate. He's missing a head. Huh. Well, that's unfortunate. Who? Somebody asked Jasmine Crockett. She's awesome. She said something. Speaking of Jasmine Crockett, did you see that piece of human garbage, Laura Loomer, today? So Jasmine Crockett said something where she was very disappointed that not more people in the Congress, white people, supported and stood with her. And she's completely right. You know what Laura Loomer said? These are her words. These are not my words. It hurts my heart that we have a ghetto black bitches who hate America serving in Congress. That's what Laura Loomer said, who flies on Air Force One on our dime. What a piece of human shit. May her and Jeffrey Epstein have a happily ever after down south. That is disgusting. Absolute disgusting. And it goes back to what I said. Hi, Rex. But again, it's the racist trope. What do you see at the Smithsonian? Taking away black history. Putting up the statues of Robert E. Lee. Renaming the bases of Robert E. Lee and Confederates. Putting up a portrait of Robert E. Lee. This is what they want. Part of this country is going to want segregation. And if we don't wake the hell up, we're going to be in a bad spot. We're going to be in a really bad spot if we don't wake up to this. They do. Part of this country wants Jim Crow. It's really sad. It's disgusting and it's violent. It's the same people that want to love thy neighbor as thyself. Stephen Miller is a really awful human being. When Stephen Miller was in high school, he was friends with a guy, and he found out that he was Hispanic, and then he stopped being his friend. Stephen Miller wants 100 million people to live in this country, all white. That's what he wants. Diversity is strength, but part of this country doesn't want to see it. Thank you, Teresa. I'm just going to say it. Whether I like it or not, for my demographic, this is our mess to clean up. Whether we like it or not, our demographic created this mess, and we privilege from it, and we have to stand up. This can't be our black brothers and sisters. This is our mess, whether we like it or not. Isn't the Second Amendment to violence prevent fascism? I was hoping that the Democratic Party would be an opposition party, but they're complicit in this. They're getting paid for by AIPAC. We can't even get Democrats to denounce what's happening in Israel. That's how bad it is. Hold on. Oh, shoot. I cannot believe I broke all my pieces. Ah. Oh, look. Santa Claus made it. See? The jolly old fat man made it. Well, you take the wins where you can get them. Hold on. Let me put a stand on my computer so you guys aren't looking up my nose here. Yeah, every week I'm starting to make a video about history. Next week, this week I'm making it about the Trail of Tears, and then next week I'm doing it about the Middle Passage. MAGA doesn't want to hear about actual history. They want to believe in white America. When those boats came over from Africa, people may not know this, 1.2 to 1.4 million people passed away from horrible disease and starvation. The sharks would actually follow the goddamn boats. That's disgusting. But hey, let's just talk about the Second Amendment. I saw that, Lefty, about the gentleman in the tree. His name was Colin Kaepernick. Is actually paying the money for a second autopsy. Hold on, I have his name. Hold on. I don't want to just say him. I want to say his actual name. Where is it? Trey Reed. I wanted to hear more information because that happened and another gentleman happened. And then in, I think, Virginia, over an overpass, somebody else was found hanging. Right. There was a story, speaking about guns. Yeah, you can ask me anything, Nanette. I'll try to read it in there. Thank you. There was a 12-year-old up in Seattle area, and he had made threats that he was going to shoot up a school. So they went to his house, and there were guns everywhere. Literally, like, on the walls, not locked up, behind dressers. If you find that, and you're not storing them, you should be charged with a felony. See? That's a very simple thing. If you scare people into thinking if you don't store them safely, you're going to prison, if it stops one crime, one mass shooting, it's worth it. But they're not even willing to force people to lock them up. I'll make that video later this week. But it's gross. There was like 40 guns everywhere. Yep, that's right, Eli. In the back in the day, they actually used to put black people in heated vats of sugar. And then after they got out, they would actually whip them because, that wasn't enough punishment. You would recommend for people like me that like to read more about the Deathstroke Revolution, democracy. I don't know about that Deathstroke Revolution. I will find a book. My wife made a book. It was called like The Color of... What was it called? I'll find the book. There was one my wife read that was really good. Oh, thank you, Rick. I hope one day, I know my wife doesn't want to say that, I would go into politics one day. I've had a lot of people ask me about that, but I would not operate like a normal politician. I don't even think I want to run for Congress. I would only run for president, to be honest with you. And I don't say that lightly. I wouldn't wear a suit. I'd wear nice clothes because I don't think it's relatable to the everyday people. I would go in Congress and I would stay in there. I wouldn't even sleep in the White House until actual gun reform was passed, Citizens United was overturned, Supreme Court had limits, minimum wage is $15 an hour, until they passed something about affordable housing, and you took away APAC. I would shut the whole damn thing down. I would not play games, but I don't think people are ready for that. I wouldn't be there to play games or politics. I wouldn't pass anything. That's what has to happen. If you have look at a car, okay? Let's say you have a car with 500,000 miles, okay? Leaks oil, broken fan belt, 4 flat tires. Does it matter if a Democrat or Republican fixes it, drives it? No. The car's not going to be productive anyway. So for us to say we have to vote for Democrats, have you seen what the Democrats have done? They just voted to pass this bill to celebrate a racist. Chuck Schumer passed the CR. 10 Democrats voted to censure Al Green. 127 said it was not politically beneficial to impeach him. What exactly have the Democrats done to push back? Not a damn thing. Yep, it's blue MAGA. And you have people on the far left that are in this BS that drives me nuts, this cancel culture, elitist snobbiness, that vote for Jill Stein. The point in the Charlie Kirk bill was to make white people angry and pissed off and feel validated because their white privilege was shit on. That's it. It's red meat for his base. It's the same reason that they passed the Lincoln Riley bill, because it was a white woman and a brown person, and it scared them. And they needed to be the victim of something. What happened to her was awful. But there was over 43,000 deaths last year. Why did they pick hers? Why did they make Ashley Babbitt? She wasn't a hero. She wasn't a patriot. She was a criminal. She was trying to break through there and get to people. They defended themselves. But because she was a white woman, how many of those people on January 6th, if they were all black, do you think would have been pardoned by the president? None. None. No. Well, Patrick, I think what people are saying is that they're two sides of the same coin. There's two parts of this. Yeah, Shiloh Hendricks is a racist too. If you're talking about the morality, obviously the MAGA party is white supremacy, okay? The Democrats aren't racist. But at the same time, neither one of them are doing anything to make our lives better. They're both taking dark money. They're both taking money from AIPAC, and they're doing nothing for our lives. From the financial standpoint, they're the two sides of the same coin. Morally, no. But I would also argue, from a theoretical standpoint, if you were to ask the question about George Floyd, let's just use that as an example, as a metaphor, okay? Who's more responsible? The officer with his knee on his neck, or the three officers that stood by and watched it happen? Because that's where we are, right? The Republicans are the people with their knee on the neck, and the Democrats are watching it happen, doing nothing. They're both complicit, just in different ways. I guarantee you that Chuck Schumer is going to pass the bill. He's going to roll over and cave. Chuck Schumer should be thrown in Jurassic Park. He's old, he's crusty, he has no idea what the hell he's doing. The libertarians. I don't know a whole lot about the libertarians, I've got to be honest with you. I honestly, I don't. I want people to have universal health care. I want people not to be in poverty. I want people to have a living wage. I don't want people living paycheck to paycheck. I want rich people to not be fucking billionaires. Okay? I don't want people to die in school shootings or shopping malls or movie theaters. I don't want your kids or my kids going to school and doing active shooter drills with bulletproof fucking backpacks. Whatever you want to call me, I don't care. I just want people to live their lives not broke, not in fear of being shot or murdered because of a piece of metal. That's just, and I think most people are there. I just think the politicians get money and they try to steer you one way and scare you into it. And that's not good for the people. It may make the whole antique roadshow retire. Yes, Terry, if we don't go on a general strike, and I don't think that we will, because I believe that too many Americans are lazy, they're complacent, and they just want to sit on their butts and watch Netflix. They want to protest on a Saturday every 2 months. They want to stop spending a couple of bucks. They're not willing to do what's necessary. Was it Nepal? No. What was that country that just did that? They overturned their government. If that's what we have to do, then that's what we have to do. Now, I don't know all the details, but what I know is this. I hope nobody was injured. I'm not condoning injuries at all. But you have to overturn what's happening here. If we don't stop it, we're Nepal, yeah. Now, I don't know all the details, but what I know is this. They got tired of their government shitting on them. And they went in the streets and they took care of it. Now, I don't know all the details. I am not condoning violence, but something has to be done here. But just doing this, it ain't going to work. The Philippines, yeah. Woodstock, Georgia, Crossing the Park, where Jimi Hendrix sang. Okay. I don't think the World Cup's going to come here. I don't. I wouldn't. Why haven't any Republicans spewed hate the shooter? Who was there from? Because Republicans need to be the white victim. They, right? Mr. Potato Head, Dr. Seuss, Antifa, George Soros, the radical left. It's gay people. It's trans people. It's litter boxes. It's DEI. It's CRT. They have to be afraid of something every day of their lives. And there's too many content creators on here. What was his name? The Bulwark. I happened to see a video before I came live. And he's on Piers Morgan. And he's debating Carrie Lake. What in the hell are you doing debating that nut job? What's the purpose of talking to an idiot? She's an idiot. And she's, oh, I can't believe you said this about Charlie. I can't believe you voted for a rapist. I can't believe you voted for a felon. I can't believe you voted for a guy that caused an insurrection, who you're protecting that did stuff on Epstein Island. I can't believe you did this to the man that calls women fat and ugly and pigs. But then she's clutching her pearls because she didn't like something she said about a podcaster. Like, what the hell are we doing here? They're all grifters, people. I'm telling you that. Go look at their thumbnails. Is this the end? Did she say this? Oh, can you believe he did this? Here, I'll pull up Midas Touch. I'll give you, and listen, I'm not trying to dox them. I'm just trying to show you what it is. I'm not going to do that. That's just not who I'm going to be. I just touch. Watch. I'll show you. And I didn't even record this. Look. What do you see? Bright yellow letters, right? Trump has a disaster. Trump has devastating blow. Disaster presser. Caught on tape. Pandemonium. Disaster landing in D.C. Stunned. Cancels all votes. Accidentally waves. This is, it's all bullshit. It's clickbait, my friends. And we're all buying into it. I'm guilty of it too. I just happen to recognize it now. It's clickbait. It's designed to make you upset. So when I try to push something like a general strike and actually have something, people aren't serious because we want to be outraged. It's all bullshit. It is. They do it because they want this. And it goes back to the whole thing. For those of you who don't know, there was an article that came out from Wired a couple weeks ago where a bunch of left-leaning content creators they're getting paid $8,000 a month. $8,000 to just make left-leaning podcast news, whatever it is. No strings attached. I've never seen a contract, but here's the thing. If you're going to come on and say that you're fighting for the people and you're reporting the news and you're about transparency, how does it look if you've been reporting the news for all this time and then you find out years later that you're getting paid $8,000 a month? When 70% of this country, most of us in here are living paycheck to paycheck, right? How the hell does that look when you're getting paid $96,000 a year with no strings attached? And then you make clickbait on here, make another $10,000 or $15,000 a month. Then you have a Substack, you make another $5,000 or $8,000. How does that look? It looks like crap. It goes to integrity and transparency. And when you don't have those, you don't have trust. It wasn't about the $8,000. No, and I understand that some people need to move them out, but I'm going to say what I'm going to keep saying. White people have had it easy since the inception of this country. There are some people that have legitimate reasons to, legitimate reasons. You know, if they're fearful because of they're being targeted by a certain demographic, that part I get. But I tell you what, I'm not going to put up with it because it's our turn to stand up and fight this. People that haven't looked like us have been treated like garbage since day one. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to sit here and fight for them because this is how I see it. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Let's say you're in a court with 10 people, okay? How does that look if I could afford to leave knowing that, let's say, they're immigrants or trans or gay or some demographic that this white supremacist cult doesn't like? What does that say about me as a person? That makes me a shitty person. If I just leave, who's going to defend them? Who's going to stand up for them? Right? Hey, Jerome. Isn't Uncle Ben to Spider-Man said, with great power comes great responsibility? I look like this and I have privilege, so I can either run away or I can use it to stand up for my neighbors. And that's what I'm choosing to do. No, I understand anti-America. Phoenix asked, so basically there is a company that funnels $8,000 into a month. Now, I think David Pakman's one of them. I believe Aaron Parnas is another one. I don't know the rest of them. I honestly, maybe somebody can answer. I know those two. And they've been getting paid $8,000 a month under the table from this organization. Allegedly, no strings attached. Now, I'm not saying I know anything. But people have asked for them, if you're going to be transparent, then release the contract. I haven't seen a contract. If you're going to be transparent, release the contract. Show people that there's no strings attached, but I haven't seen one. I have bots. I don't have. Hey, Sarge, are you doing the mod thing, Sarge, or do I have to add you every time? Hold on. Let's see. Yeah, Sarge, I think you still have the mod stuff there, buddy. I did not see there. I can't stay here to the people brand. How many podcasters on the right were paid by Russia? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know on the right. Honestly, I don't really care on the right. They're, I mean, it's white supremacy. That's all it is over there. That's what's wrong with this country. It's the lost cause. They got their asses kicked. And instead of saying, yeah, we lost because we fought for slavery, we as a country let it go. And this is why we're here. That is going to bite us in the ass right now because that's the remnants of the Confederacy. There are not still in LA. No, they were kicked out. And either today or yesterday, Gavin Newsom said that we passed a law that no more masks in this country, in this state. I am curious about one thing. And I don't really watch a lot of the stuff on with the Midas Touch and Pac-Man. Do they talk about what's happening in Palestine, the Gaza Strip? Do they discuss that at all? Yeah. See, that's the problem, Mario. Same thing with the Democrats. They're still, I mean, look, they're going over to Israel. They're funding Israel. And Hakeem Jeffries is signing on a bill to remember a white racist podcaster. But he still hasn't endorsed Mondavi. Why? He won the damn primary. What in the hell is Hakeem Jeffries doing? The establishment doesn't want to change, my friends. Look what David Hogg did. David Hogg wanted to make the party younger, not have a bunch of old, crusty white people there. And they kicked him out. David Kenyatta, they kicked him out. Nancy Pelosi has an opponent that's young. They're letting her run again. They don't want to change. They're part of the problem. Does David Pac-Man interview Caroline Leavitt? Why? I don't know. I'm a white woman, but I don't have privilege. I don't get treated fairly because I'm disabled. People are treating me down, and I don't have the rights that other people do. Yes. I think a lot of people don't understand what white privilege is. A lot of people think because they're poor, they don't have privilege. White privilege is not having someone call you the N-word, not having somebody cross the street when you're walking down, not somebody chase you down because you're Ahmaud Arbery and you think you're going for a jog just because you're black and you're a criminal, not having your house redlined by the bank, having your house appraised at a lower price, having somebody not hire you because of your name. That's privilege. You can both be poor, but one poor person is treated differently all the time because of what they look like. Thank you, Yvonne. I appreciate that. That's privilege. Yes. Go listen to the 92%. You want to hear people that are smart, intelligent, wise? Go listen to black women talk. Almost all my TikToks. I'm telling you right now. You know why? Because they've always had to struggle and work harder than everybody else because they don't have the privilege that we do. They're the most educated demographic in this entire country. They're fucking smart. Off the charts. If black women ran this country, we wouldn't be in this mess we're in right now. Why is it that Americans are always the victims? White people are always playing the victim. They're cosplay victims. Oh, I need to reach you. Okay, 5 Alarm. I will take a look at you or at your email for saying what? I got called to the office for saying pretty? I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. Yeah. Justice Jackson is incredibly smart. And again, Charlie Kirk, the racist, said that she wasn't qualified, that she had basically concepts of brains. But, you know, praise Jesus, right? Right. You know, it's interesting is I talk to a lot of different people and I see atheists and agnostics that have more Christian values than evangelicals. What do I think is a healthy capitalism for our? I think we need a balance of capitalism and socialism. I actually believe, now I don't know if Mamdani, I'm sorry, he probably has the right combination. What I don't know is to think about the grocery stores. But I'll tell you what, the thought of doing that to bring grocery prices down, the idea of it, the concept is really good. Free bus, it's not free, you're using tax dollars. Putting limits on housing prices, that's good. And I'm thinking the reason that Jeffries doesn't want to do that and endorse him is because those rich people that own houses want to keep giving money to Jeffries. They're probably telling him, if you endorse this, then it's not going to happen. Mamdani doesn't care. I think that most of this country, especially on the left that I talk to, he's not off the charts. Capitalism, pure capitalism, ends in oligarchy. There are parts of socialism that aren't bad. Karl Marx, I didn't agree with everything he said, but there were certain parts of socialism that are good for society, especially when we have economic inequality. Going back to the privilege, forgot who the lady was I was asking you. I watched a documentary about Katrina. After Katrina, when they rebuilt everything, there was a district, was it Cremel or something like that? I'm sorry. It was one of the parishes. It was primarily black. After Katrina, gentrification, rent doubled and tripled. Guess what happened to that district? It's all white now. That's privilege, because they don't pay people to look at a certain demographic more money, and the rich people make more money. And then you can basically use that economic inequality. Same thing with schools. There are certain areas that your tax dollars, you don't have as many tax dollars because housing prices are lower because you don't take care of the neighborhood. But the rich white people have better schools. And it's generational again and again and again and again. And that's not being addressed. That's privilege. And redlining was part of it, because that's what the banks did. They would take a red marker and say there were certain places that we're not going to give you a loan, or it's going to be so astronomical that you can't do it. Gentrification. They wanted certain demographics to live in certain parts of the city or their county. That's what they did. Yeah, well, Charlie Kirk is an idiot. Also, just because somebody follows people doesn't mean that they're on the right side of. People followed Hitler. People followed Jim Jones. People followed Stalin and Benito Mussolini. Does that mean because a lot of people follow them that they're on the right side of history? They're a bunch of sheep. If you look at a lot of great people like Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks and Colin Kaepernick, they did great things and they changed this country. Not in the majority. That's not unheard of. Parker get a job is live in a debate. What should minimum wage be? It's been $7.25 since 2009. For tipped workers, it's $2.13 an hour. What should it be? $23 an hour. This is why I'm hesitant about going that far. You're going to have small businesses that need an adjustment period. You don't want to hurt small businesses. I don't give a damn about Walmart. Don't care about them at all. I care about the small businesses. Yeah, but Eldom, if you take a small business in a small town, Alabama, Tennessee, not everybody's a nut over there, right? There's good people there. And you raise the minimum wage from $7.25 to $30 an hour, you're going to put them out of business. You don't want to do that. You're going to have to take a small bite of the elephant. Ideally, I agree with you. I think you have to go up to $50 an hour and $7.50 for tipped workers. That's what it should be. And then you have to go to places like Walmart and say, if you're going to pay your CEO all this money, it's your money, do what you want. But if you pay your CEO over $1 million, you don't get to write it off. None of it. It's at your own dime. If you want to get profit sharing, you no longer get a tax write-off. If you want to pay your employees more money, this is what I would propose. Now, I have to look at the numbers. For every dollar that you pay them closer to a minimum wage, I will give you a $3 or $4, a 3-to-1 ratio. So it's not linear. It can be a curve. The closer you get, the bigger tax break. Incentivize corporations to get a tax break, paying their people more money. And you take away the taxes for millionaires. That's what you do. That's the only way that happens. Mario, I also stopped watching Brian Shapiro's show. But I am not going to go into why that is because I don't want to speak out of line, and hopefully one day you guys will understand why, but I don't want to say that here. It's yeah, I'll leave it at that. I don't know who Gary. Okay, so here's the thing. So this is Walmart, okay? Now, if you pay your people more money, what happens? 15,000 people right now at Walmart are on subsidy. So you and I are paying money to Walmart employees because they're giving all their money to the rich people and to corporations. Right? That's what's happening right now. So if you pay them more money, they know you have 15,000 people that are no longer on public assistance. You just created a surplus in the government, right? You just reduced your debt. That's how you balance the budget. And then those people can afford not to live paycheck to paycheck. They can put away $500 or $1,000. They can afford to buy a house and get into generational wealth. See, that's what happens. When you don't fix the problem, you don't buy a house, you're always paying rent. You never have generational wealth. And then you have to buy or rent a house for rich people or people overseas that are over here. So look at Bernie Sanders and AOC, okay? I like them both. Fight the oligarchy. Fight the oligarchy. That sounds great. Cool. Let's say you tax Walmart. What solution have they offered to get people more money in their paychecks? Because I haven't heard it. I have no idea how. I haven't heard nothing about how they're going to pay people more money. Nothing. And that's the problem. It sounds good on a bumper sticker. Well, yeah, Daniel, you can actually say for taxes, a lot of countries on property taxes, they don't have it. We technically never own our houses because we're always in debt for property taxes because that's how you fund the county. Correct. Yeah, I like Bernie. He's a good dude. I believe if the Democratic Party wouldn't have shit on him in 2016, he would have won the election. But they wanted to maintain the status quo. And that's a damn shame. I don't think we would be in this mess right now if he would have been the candidate. I really don't. He's a good guy. He sits down with people in rural America, which is where Democrats shit the bed, and he talks to them and he listens to them. They don't do that. Democrats just say, you're gone. And we have both parties that don't listen, right? You have the Republicans that just go to rural areas, and you have the Democrats that just go to the urban areas. If I was president, I would have quarterly town halls. Pick a different state. Go have one with the farmers. Have one people, hey, how's your potash? How's your crop? Well, how's the price of soybeans? How is tariffs affecting this? I mean, I would even argue with Canada with potash, right? Work it out with Canada where you don't even pay a tariff. Yeah, I know that's scary. But you know what happens? If their cost goes down as a farmer, they can make more money and they don't have to go out of business. He was just a podcaster. Yes, Ronald Reagan started trickle-up economics. A lot of this is on Reagan. I would actually have to agree with that. Yes, he was, yeah. Reagan screwed things up too. It doesn't, listen, let's say, okay, I like to play things out. Let's say that Gavin Newsom wins, okay? Just hear me out. Then what? AIPAC's still there. Dark money. Citizens United. Women still have no rights. Minimum wage hasn't been fixed. And there's still no term limits on Congress or the Supreme Court. Then what's going to happen? Let's say that's the midterms. Then for 2 years, they're going to bitch and moan at the guy in the White House. Then 2 years go by. Then what? You think he's going to leave? Why do you think that the government that's benefiting off of AIPAC and dark money corporations are going to change the laws to stop them from getting money? Think about that. They're not. This is what Bernie's good at. He talks about this. They're not going to change the laws that they benefit from. Why should they? Yes, the Trumpstein files. I cannot believe that the Republican Party, that's the party of family values, is literally protecting files, protecting a pedophile. It's disgusting. Do I think that South Park is... I think actually South Park is fighting fascism by doing what they're doing. Because you're getting under his skin. This is how fascism takes over. Hello, Madalena. When Benito Mussolini, before he became the fascist ruler of Italy, he started De Papel il Italio, the People's Paper. He ran it 6 days a week from Tuesday to Sunday. It was the first version of Fox News. It was pure propaganda bullshit every day. Got him elected. He lied, he lied, he lied, he lied, because Hitler said, if you tell a lie enough, people will start to believe it. And then after he took office, his brother ran the paper for propaganda, the original Fox News. AIPAC, Mario, is basically a donation branch of Israel that gives money to Democrats and Republicans, which is why neither political party is speaking up against the genocide that's happening in Gaza right now, in Palestine, because they're getting paid. So our elected leaders are shutting up about what's happening. It looks like a war zone because AIPAC from Israel is giving them money. A couple of weeks ago, we actually sent like 150 state senators over there. Somebody said Niners are 3-0. So far, so good. But Bosa's out for the year with an ACL. That's quite unfortunate. Let's see. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you, Indian. Yes, in Citizens United, yeah. It ended. For those of you that don't know how the story of Mussolini ended, let me tell you how it ended. He spent his entire dictatorship or fascist regime basically attacking Ethiopia again and again and again. And then I think he went to England, and he neglected his economy. So you had people living off $1,000 a day, 1,000 calories a day, buying food on the black market, and housing was unaffordable. They didn't care about innocent people that were killed. They just cared when it affected themselves. And then one day, he was taken out the back of the woodshed. Now, it wasn't just that. They drug his ass all the way to the square. Then they murdered his mistress, and they hung him up for 3 days, and they stoned him, which is why Hitler had his body cremated, because he didn't want to be embarrassed like his good buddy Benito Mussolini. Yep, his own people took him out to the woodshed, and think about that. For 3 days, they stoned him and his mistress. You got to be pretty pissed off at the guy to do that. Pretty messed up. I don't know how this fascism is going to end here. I don't expect anything from Republicans. I mean, they're just going to roll over, and it seems like the Democrats are not in this. So if we're not willing to do a general strike, it's going to have to burn to the ground. I don't see another option. I don't want that option because the poor people are going to have. When I was in Yellowstone last year, there was a pine cone tree, and these seeds are dropped on the ground, and it has this resin coating on the outside of it. It'll stay there for years or decades. The only thing that takes the resin coating off of that seed is temperatures in excess of about 120 to 140 degrees, which is forest fire. But for a forest fire to happen, the forest has to burn down and everything in its path. Now, you might spare a couple trees, you might spare a couple cabins and tents, but the whole thing has to burn down. And that's the only way that new growth happens. And I view that resin as white supremacy. If this country has to go through this and just suffer and be homeless, I don't want that to happen. If that's what it takes to fix racism in this country, then I'm on board. Because I'm sick of this crap of us just, and all of our friends right now, we have them, right? Our little white friends. Oh, traffic is so bad at high school. Oh, can you believe that little Jimmy kicked the ball out of bounds? Living by the white privilege. I cannot stand it. I didn't hear what Mario said. It got deleted. I forgot the meeting with the government. Yeah, I think, Daniel, I think when you hear people in the MAGA say patriotism, they mean nationalism. We are indoctrinated that we're a great country. We're not. We're a white country. We're raised in American flag diapers. When we're kids, we go to school, we do the Pledge of Allegiance, we sing a song, we put our hands over our heart. We treat it like it's a deity. Then we eat our Freedom Wheaties and we feed our pet bull eagle. And then we get in our car with our Constitution. Then we put our 8,000 American flags and we sing God Bless America. And then we polish our guns because that's American. That's nationalism. That's nationalism, not patriotism. That flag that they see as a symbol of freedom is a symbol of oppression for everybody that doesn't look like me. And there's too many white people in this country that just can't get that through their thick skulls. You know what's, Mario, you know what's crazy about October 14th? That's my birthday too. My birthday is the same as Charlie Kirk. How fucked up is that? God. Oh, it's like a bad joke. God. Why can't, there's 365 days and I had to get the one that's on with him, huh? God almighty. I will not be watching news that day. What am I, 76? George Floyd's October 14th too? Oh, God. Well, I like George Floyd. He's a good dude. Yeah, Madalena, I hope that one day, that we can recover our friendship with Canada because you guys have fought with us, spilled blood with us, been friends with us, trade partners, and I hope and pray to God that we can fix it because I'll tell you what, Canadians are damn good people. They're kind, they're polite, they'll do anything for you, and I'm sickened that we have this fascist in here just trying to bully our allies, and it makes me absolutely sick that we're siding with Vladimir Putin. Yeah, they don't want the red, white, and blue. They just want the white. So, yeah. Anyway. Hey, if you guys are, I don't know if I'm going to watch it, but Rachel Maddow tonight is interviewing Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris. So I'm going to go watch that now. All right, my friends, I will let you guys go, and then I'm going to do it every Monday and Wednesday. So there is a man here talking about nationalism. Yes, James Tellerico is a good dude. I like him a lot. I want to see more fire, though. I want him DEFCON 10. I want to see righteous anger coming out of his ears. That's what I want to see with him. Yeah, I don't know. Netanyahu. All right, my friends. Bye-bye. I cannot believe I knocked that over.